I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Ward?
Yes.
Mr. Workman?
Yes.
Mrs. Holodye?
Yes.
Dr. Bennett?
Yes.
Mrs. Gibson?
Yes. I would entertain a motion for approval of the February 12th regular meeting minutes. So moved. Thank you, Mr. Holodye. And the second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Mr. Ward. Any corrections? Hearing none, would you call the roll?
Mr. Holodye?
Yes.
Mr. Ward?
Yes.
Mr. Workman?
Yes.
Dr. Bennett?
Yes.
Mrs. Gibson?
Yes. Accommodations and communications? None?
No accommodations or communications tonight, although I will mention a few once we get to the district update part. But I'm certainly pleased to recognize Mr. Clay Tochev. He's going to be here tonight representing Mount Vernon High School, and they're going to share some of the exciting things that are going on. So Clay, I'll turn it over to you.
All right. Okay, so I think you have the presentation there.
Go backwards here.
Sure. So thank you for giving me the time to talk about Global Scholars. This is fun. Global Scholars Diploma. That picture right there, and I hope it's okay if I move around.
You bet.
Okay. That's our year one group. So those are sophomores. So that's just one of 3 years. And I think there are 34 in that group, and they're just a really fun group that's really excited about learning, all really good attitudes. So I snapped that group shot, and I really like that. So this Global Scholars, you can go ahead and go to the next slide. And this just kind of shows you what I'll be talking about today. I'm going to just remind you how the Global Scholars Diploma Program works, where we stand with our enrollment, some ideas for the future, and then what are our students getting out of it, of course, highlights from the crowd favorite Nestle event. And then I have some links on there of student testimonials, but I have to be honest, when I played them back, the playback volume was pretty poor, so we can kind of decide if we want to listen to some of those once we get to that point. So we can go ahead and go to the next screen. All right, so I can't talk about Global Scholars Diploma Program without giving credit to the Columbus Council on World Affairs. So if I say CCWA, that's to whom I'm referring. They organize and host this program. We are one of over 20 schools, and we got in right at the right time because the program just took off so much to the point that they actually had to start turning people away. So we're lucky to be in it. So it's a 3-year program. In years 1 and 2, it's spent going to face-to-face events. There are 4 each year for each level. And there are 3 different themes that it focuses on: global issues, global cultures, and global careers. And so every time they go, it's going to be on one of those themes. So really year 1, we start with sophomores at Mount Vernon High School. Different schools do it differently. And that's more about awareness and just being exposed to some of these things. Year 2, they focus more on skill building, some more critical thinking, while still gaining more exposure to those 3 items. And then year 3 is dedicated to a take action project. So this is how the program culminates, and really those students, they plan it out from start to finish. I connect them with a representative from Columbus Council on World Affairs, and they coordinate back and forth, but it's all on them, and it's amazing to see what they come up with. But that's what year 3 is all about. And I like the fact that it's not just a presentation, it's called a take action project. So the idea is that they will have become passionate about a theme or an issue over the previous 2 years of the program, and because of that, they decide to take action locally, at least as a part solution to this global issue. And so I really like that they have them actually do something and take action. Okay, next slide, please. This is how we stand right now. So we have currently 53 students enrolled. And so we kind of have some decisions to make as we move forward about our commitment level to it. So year one, I think I figured out recruitment, that while we have a lot of amazing tools, sending out Google Forms and emails and videos, really the best way to connect with students is standing in front of them and telling them about something and motivating them. I think we found that out over the last 2 years. And so I went to several different hives that I knew had globally minded students, try to get the exposure as much as possible, and I was able to get 34 in that year one, and it's a really strong group. Year two, I was disappointed this year. Sometimes this is just how the group dynamics work. You know, the chemistry might be just a little bit different from one class to the next. It's kind of like that. I had 20 to start with when they were in year one, and just kind of a high rate of attrition. That now that we're down to 10, I think 9 or 10. So I always start looking introspectively. You know, what was I doing from a leadership standpoint or not doing? What could I do better? But it really just kind of, they're all wonderful kids, but just as a group, just the chemistry wasn't there. But the students who have remained are really committed to the program and really enjoy it. And then in year three, again, I think we have 10 or so there. And I was talking with Patrick Terrian, the CEO of Columbus Council of World Affairs, and he was talking about how our group, really, in terms of retention, we have one of the larger year three groups. So when you see 10 students, that's actually a decent sample size, even when you compare. I mean, some districts like Westerville and Dublin, you know, they've got some larger groups. So I was pleased with that. I really think this year one group, we're going to retain the majority of them as they move on. So if you could go to the next slide, please.
Excuse me.
Yeah, no problem.
Do you mind if, I was trying to turn their music down next door. I used to be able to control by my phone.
Turn it off, guys. Lift in silence. That's fine. No problem. Yeah, so if you go to the next screen. So CCWA has the schools commit at like different tiers. It's every, you know, in levels of 25 students. So 25, 50 students, 75, and so on. And we've been at the 75 level. And I think that's a good place to be, and especially as you look at different districts that are around our size, they're either in that 50 or 75 range. But as that year one group progresses through each year, I then need to know in terms of what we're going to do moving forward, because that might change how I recruit. I might only have, 20 spots.
Right.
So that's something, for the powers that be to decide, but that's where we stand, and it at least gives you a frame of reference of what other districts are doing, so I thought I would add that in there. So yeah, go ahead, next slide, please. What are students getting out of the program? It always starts, what we care most about is, student learning, growth, skill building. I have to tell you, just a couple weeks ago, we took our year one kids to the Global Issues event held at Ohio Dominican University. And there was a gentleman there from the country of Georgia. He might have been 60 years old or so. And he started the event by saying, I grew up and I witnessed 5 wars, and my father died as a result of one of them. And I want to tell you, when young people are in front of a primary source like that, they instantly have their attention. And so there are so many impactful moments like that that everyone can't see. But they happen quite frequently. One year, a gentleman started off by saying, I lived for 14 years in a refugee camp. And the kids just had to sit there and really take that in, like, wow, what would 14 years in a refugee camp look like? And he then talked about how he went to school under a tree. And, then after that was just where they met, and they had kids of all ages. And so after that, we talked about these amazing facilities that we have here between all of our schools, the technology, and what type of appreciation we should have for that. And it really gained some appreciation for that. Anyway, so it starts there with student learning. But I think it's fair, students often want to know, well, and parents, what do I get out of this? How can I benefit? This is a real differentiator when it comes to college admission. I was talking to a counselor, admissions counselor over at Kenyon, about a possible relationship between Kenyon and CCWA. I don't know if anything ever came of that. But while we were talking about it, she mentioned how programs like this are really important, that to have a global piece to your transcripts is extremely important nowadays and really differentiates them and sets them apart from the competition, so to speak. So I thought that was something to really take away from that. So that's that. And then scholarship. So this is amazing. Of course, I didn't go to Otterbein. I have no connection to Otterbein, but this is a fantastic opportunity for our students. So any student that successfully completes all 3 years of the program and then also is admitted into Otterbein automatically gets a $19,000 scholarship per year. Renewable.
Awesome.
And so when I'm recruiting students, I'm telling them, guys,
Increase that to 175.
isn't that amazing though? I mean, and then you can stack other scholarships on top of that, of course, other than the merit scholarship. But so when I'm talking to students, I say, look, you guys are in a position where you want to have options. You know, give yourself as many options as you have. And I'm telling you what, if someone offered me near $80,000 worth of scholarships right off the bat, that'd be something I'd be considering. So I'm really grateful to Otterbein for having committed that to the program. And that's really important. And the last thing I didn't put on here, recently, the Global Scholars Diploma program counts towards one of the graduation seals. So that's really important as well. Though I have to say a lot of the students that find their way into the program they normally have what they need to graduate, but you know, it might be useful for somebody. Nestle. So the Global Careers theme event is held at Nestle in Marysville. And the students just love it for a lot of different reasons. One, when you go in there, it's a contemporary workspace, and they take you throughout different areas of the building. So it's just cool. I mean, there's just a cool factor when you go in there, and you can see in the upper right-hand corner, they have a work area that's like just really, it has that contemporary design, but it's also a workspace, and on the side, there's like a little cafe, and like the students are just blown away that a workspace could look like that. But they set up different stations. And so they have logistics, manufacturing, food science, commercial, and marketing. And they have them go to each one of those stations. And so the last time they said, okay, we're creating this product and we're going to market this. The target market is a predominantly Muslim country. So this has to be halal. We can't have any dairy in it whatsoever. And so what are the ingredients? And you talk about the food science, you know, that we can use that honors that, but also still make sure that it has the same flavor. And then they got into where are they going to produce it? Where are they going to bottle it? How are we going to get it there? And they really saw that what employers need are problem solvers and students who are able to think and not just be good at one thing, but really you have to have multiple skill sets. And it's neat for students because, you know, a lot of times our students say, well, I'm good at math, you know, but they don't necessarily see how that's going to help them in the business world or in the work world. Or I really like science. Well, what does that mean? How's that going to transfer into the professional space? But when they go to a business like this, they might not have been thinking like, oh, I'm interested in business. But when they see that there are opportunities to use their skill set in a global corporation like this, it then paints it in a completely different picture, outlook. So, and they don't know what they don't know, right? A lot of them haven't been exposed to food science. A lot of them haven't been exposed to some of these different areas that they see. So it's always a really fun experience for them and rewarding. They also get to taste coffee from around the world. So anyway, really, really quite beneficial for our students.
Now, do just Mount Vernon students go to that plant or everyone participates?
Great question. So at every event that they go to, we are grouped with different schools from Central Ohio. So I mean, sometimes we're with Olentangy and Dublin, sometimes we're with Licking Heights and, you know, Pickerington. So it's amazing.
And they make them integrate, right?
Absolutely.
You can't just sit with the Mount Vernon crew. You've got to intermix.
Yeah, they have them at different tables. They're all signed different numbers. And that's really good for a lot of different reasons. One, it creates a collaborative learning environment.
Right.
And two, you know, they're exposed to a lot of different diversity that we just don't have here at Mount Vernon because of our demographics. And so that's a learning experience, soft skills that students need to have as well. So, yeah. We'll see if you would like to play there. Emma Dean or Hannah Hofferberth, I don't know how the volume, well, we would have played it had I given the proper permission. Okay, well, yeah, sorry.
I'll link it to them so they can take a look at it.
Yeah, so, but something that I liked that Emma Dean said, and the first question was, why is it beneficial to students? And the first thing she said is, well, first of all, it's just really fun and enjoyable. And I thought that's important, that we're providing opportunities that, they're not just academic, but you can enjoy it. It's just fun to learn. She mentions the collaborative nature of it. And then they go in to talk about some of their third-year Take Action projects. But that, on April 16th, and this is the last thing I have, and I'm willing to answer any questions that you have. April 16th is the Take Action Project Fair and graduation. So the year 3 students spend about, 45 minutes or so, and it kind of looks like, when I picture an old History Day fair, whatever, they have trifolds or whatever, and there's hundreds of students that are set up there. Our students will obviously be there as well, and you can walk around and talk to the students. They'll tell you about what they did, and it's seriously impressive what these kids have come up with. I just think, man, we are so far ahead of what I was doing when I was a senior high school. We won't get too far into that. But anyhow, so it's amazing. And then they have the graduation ceremony for those who completed the program. And that's April 16th at Otterbein. And it's in the morning. Starts at 9, but it really, the Take Action Project Fair really will get going around 10 o'clock. So.
There's a sign up for that. If you're interested in going, we'll have to sign up ahead of time.
Okay.
Anyhow, and if there are any questions, I'd be glad to address them.
Yes, thank you, Clay. I've forgotten over the years about this program, and it's so wonderful to be reminded about it. What is the cost to the students to be in this program? Or is it, do we absorb all of the costs?
Yeah.
Which is what we should do.
And it's like, when you look at the price per student, it's minimal. And you'll forgive me because I don't make the financial decisions. I don't have that. But it's not an inordinate amount. I wish I could remember off the top of my head, but I don't make those decisions. So.
Well worth it for sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I want to say, I'm afraid to throw a number. I want to say something in terms of $5,000 for up to 75 students, something like that. But please fact check me on that. So, because it's been a while since
Yeah.
Make it right now.
Yeah.
He's right.
So, other than Nestle, they still go Honda?
So that didn't happen this year, and I don't know if there was, separation there or whatever. A lot of times, the COVID era, that was a time when just a lot of people parted ways, and that's had so many different impacts. But so we haven't been back there, though they're still a sponsor, but they've not held any events.
What other places other than Nestle have the events been held at?
So Franklin University is a big one, Ohio Dominican University. This year, a new one, this is really cool for our students. They got to go to the new Columbus Crew Stadium, and then people who work within the organization. Really cool. I had never been there, but it's a really fun place to go. And it just gorgeous area. It's kind of like a dining space, but obviously they use it to host our students. And it's right next to the field. And then we were able to go up into the press box area, which they all thought was really neat. So that was a new one.
Cool.
But from year to year, they switch out venues, but those are our main partners right there.
Great.
Very cool. Any other questions?
Yes, is there anything else that you need from us to move forward on this with the plans for the next year or the year before?
Well, yeah, and I think that will come, and those decisions have to be made anytime money is involved. The question will be, hey, if I'm in a situation where I can get 100 students involved in this, I think I could sell that. I think I can get that perhaps. But, those decisions have to be, is that something we want to commit to? And if not, that's okay, but I'll just have to know that in terms of how many students I'm going after. But if you're ever questioning, like, is this program worth it? Just undoubtedly, yes. I mean, it's really meaningful to the students, so.
One of the other things that makes it really worth it is to have a great ambassador like Clay as a part of that. So he's been in since the inception.
Yeah.
And,
Thank
the excitement's still kind of there, and we thank you for your leadership in that.
Sure. Absolutely. All right.
Thanks
so much.
And Clay, you don't have to stay either. You can, if you need to get home and grade homework, I get it.
Get back to the kids and grades. Thanks so much.
Thank you very much. All right, monthly reports. Mateo is not here. I do not see anyone, and we have no public participation. So we will move on to board items for discussion. And we have no items for information or approval at this time. We do have.
I do have one addition to the agenda. It is in your personnel section. It's a resignation of Jay Campbell. Obviously, he's a really, really good teacher as well. And, with his departing of the coaching responsibilities, he also was looking for a teaching opportunity somewhere else. And he's just really strong in that area for sure. So he's resigning at the end of the school year.
And superintendent's report.
Under superintendent's report, I do have kind of that weekly kind of a district update. I just share some exciting things that are going on. And some of this will be a little repetitive for a few of you based on board updates, but at the same time, when we get an opportunity to share openly in public session, it's nice to be able to do that. Some of these might be even actually new to you a little bit, but there's so many wonderful things going on that I want to share a couple. So congratulations. So first off, if you were able to go to the Battle of the Books, it took place last Thursday evening. And Wigan Street took home the top honors, but Pleasant Street came in real tight behind there. And so it was really kind of fun to see them all up there going at 5 rounds of competition. And quite frankly, they all did a great job.
Right.
Fortunately or unfortunately, there's always a winner, and that's what they kind of shoot for. And so really neat to see those 2 teams kind of come in first and second. This next one is really interesting because several years ago, we were kind of at a struggling point, with choir. Obviously, over COVID, we couldn't even sing because of, all of that. And our numbers had kind of dwindled down to about, less than 20 at some point. And just some new energy. Our numbers are now back up into the 80s. We're really growing it at the middle school. And the Mount Vernon High School Choir qualified 2 weeks ago for state competition. So pretty exciting that the sound is just really, really good. And I know Mary appreciates that quality. And so it's getting better and better. You see quite a few young men up there. It's always hard to get young men to be in choir. And I think Trevor is just kind of a teacher magnet for all of those kids, and that's exciting to see. So congratulations to the state, to the choir group. And this was a really neat honor that came our way today. Our Mount Vernon High School Key Club, under the direction of Chris Keaton, and Key Club is a very service-minded organization. Well, we were really blessed to have Olufemi Odia, is now going to be the new governor for Key Clubs throughout Ohio. Wow. It's a pretty prestigious recognition, not only for him personally, but for the club. And this last weekend, they were in Columbus, and he was awarded a governor's award. So Olufemi is going to represent Mount Vernon really well in his role for an entire year. And boy, they just look so so nice all dressed up there, don't they?
Yes.
So congratulations to him and Miss Keaton and the Key Club. This is about 2 weeks overdue, but Mount Vernon Cheerleading, they placed third at state competition. And there was some really, really good competition there. I had us better than third, but you know what, we'll take third. They really did a nice
You're not
job.
biased or anything.
Not at all.
Well, point-wise, I think we were only like 1.5 away from first. I mean, the top three were
Wow.
really
Really
close.
There might have been a group that did a little bit more of the
Yeah.
little tumbling, jumpy type stuff. But we were pretty darn precise.
Is that a technical term?
Jumpy type stuff.
Just to make sure.
That's why we lost.
1.5.
Oh, shoot.
That's why we got the done.
Yeah, there you go.
This also took place about 2 weeks ago. We had a couple state placers at the wrestling tournament. So Ash Brokaw there took third place and Alex Taylor took fifth place. So congratulations to them. On a long season, wrestling kind of starts, it starts there late October and, then it goes all the way through March. So it's a long year. So now they're probably eating a little, if you had a chance last week, I had mentioned there was lots of really neat things going on throughout the district. Mount Vernon Middle School had a student academic showcase. And honest to goodness, there had to be close to 1,000 people
Yeah.
there. Yeah.
Yes.
And the hallways were full. All of these tables were lined up with community organizations, just sharing some wonderful things. And then, quite frankly, even as a grandparent for me going into my granddaughter's classroom and seeing, the different things that are going on, it was just really neat to see some of the academic things that are happening. There's some really neat things. Sometimes we only hear about some of the yucky things from a small group. There were a lot of people really happy here as they walked through and saw it.
Well, I had the opportunity to go to the showcase, and I was talking to April Thompson, and she pulled me and she goes, "Okay, I have to tell you this." And I said, "Okay." She said, "I had 49 of my 90 students came tonight and attended." She said 50% participation. She said, "You just
Amazing.
typically don't have that kind." She said, "This is absolutely amazing." And parents, like you said, were just aghast with the quality of work and showmanship that they were able to see that night. It was beautiful.
I heard the same thing from some teachers I talked to, like Britt Severide
Yeah.
said the same thing about this
And I felt,
participation.
I felt too that this was a great ambassadorship because there was no pressure on parents for a parent-teacher conference or the parent first day information. It was just, I was thrilled.
Yeah.
And they had activities in some of the classrooms
Yeah.
that parents could even do,
Yeah.
challenge your math. Are you as good as a seventh grader?
I was going to add too, I had a parent stop me that evening that I didn't know the parent and said how thankful she was for the middle school that her son had really started to come out of it. And he was up there with the robotics and was kind of learning this. She goes, a year or two ago, this would have never happened. She goes, I'm just so thankful that this is happening. So that really went a long way with me.
Great, yeah.
So.
I do recall it was about noon on this particular day, and what the forecast looked like at 5 o'clock was not pretty. I mean, it was red, like coming across, and Darren and I were like talking about, well, what happens if the weather is really bad and for whatever reason it just kind of missed us. It came later that night, unfortunately, but we were really lucky to
And I
have it.
commented to Mr. Prince as well. It was so nice to have all of the teachers and administrators there in the same clothing so that you could easily identify the staff and who was part of the building. And that was great. I mean, it was just so nice that you didn't have to second guess who was a teacher in that classroom, you know, that was really nice.
A lot of people.
And the
Yeah.
kids were having so much fun.
Oh, they
Like
did.
the robotics kids, they were just having a blast up on the stage, so.
No, I thought it was
Yes.
really, really well done, well done.
And it was nice to have the 2 food trucks out front
Yeah,
because people could say, oh, let's get something and go in the cafeteria and
Yeah.
sit down. Yeah, it was just so well organized too. Very impressive.
And then finally, if you didn't get a chance, and the forum show was this weekend, and I'll tell you what, when you go and you watch, and they're dressed up and they're dancing, and they just feel so much older and mature. It's like, wow, they're not just kids; they're young adults, and there was some really good talent. I'm going to try to pull some of that over for our senior citizens luncheon. And so I think that'll be neat, but it's a long weekend. They do 4 shows, Friday night, 2 on Saturday, and 1 on Sunday. So really thankful to that whole group that put that together from back in the back to on the other side of the thing. So that was really kind of neat. Again, spring break is coming up. So the end of the third 9 weeks is Friday. And so we have a teacher work day and grades. And then the following week, we have no school. And so that'll be our spring break. I was going to put up a beach scene, but not everybody can go to the beach. And then we'll come back. We'll start school back on April 1st. Now, again, just Monday, we're off as well, so it's a travel day for us. So that's really important to kind of remember. So it's a week and a day, basically. And then finally, Monday, April 8th is no school. This is just a reminder about the total eclipse. You all probably got in your little thing in here, these are little solar viewer cards. I know a lot of teachers are kind of front-loading some things relative to this particular day. Every student will get one of these cards, and that part of the eclipse that we'll want to look at takes place from really about 2:30 to 4:30. So it kind of goes just like what you see there. It just starts getting to a point where about 3:30, right there in the middle, we'll have about 2.5 minutes maybe here in Mount Vernon. Right down the center, it'll be about 4 minutes of totality. And so, again, a once in 100-year kind of event. I hope it's sunshiny out so we can at least witness it. But just wanted to make sure we bring that to everyone's attention there. So that's kind of a district update. When there's lots of things to celebrate, it's nice to share.
Yeah.
And then the last item here in the superintendent's report, you have a list of board policies there. This was the first reading, so it's listed under items for information. You'll notice that a lot of it is simply this kind of continual change between the Ohio Department of Ed to ODU and some, just kind of the pronouns and the way they kind of describe some of these things. But if you have any questions, feel free to call and ask, and we'll have a second and final reading then come up here in April. I do have one item for board approval tonight in the superintendent section. It's a homeschool student participation in athletics, and Mark is there for your approval tonight.
I would entertain a motion then for the home school student participation.
So moved.
Thank you, Dr. Bennett.
I'll second.
Thank you, Mr. Ward. Any questions? Hearing none, will you call the roll?
Dr. Bennett?
Yes.
Mr. Workman?
Yes.
Mr. Ward?
Yes.
Mr. Goldeye?
Yes.
And Mrs. Getzmann?
Yes. Motion carried. Okay, on to curriculum instruction.
Okay, the first article that I picked is the second one, talking about artificial intelligence. And I think we've talked a little bit about that before, but I wanted to share with you the resources that are available. Ohio builds an artificial intelligence toolkit, and if you'd like to click on that, whoops, go up,
I miss it.
see where it's highlighted in the performance here. You click on that, and these are all the things that are available. It's a 71-page resource, and I think shows you all the things that are available. So I wanted to make you aware of that. And the resource is developed by the United States Department of Education. The educational technology department, and it's about the future of teaching and learning is what they're saying. So, and we know that already. There's also a blueprint for AI Bill of Rights, and mainly what they're saying is that they want AI to be equitable and to be truthworthy or trustworthy. So that's a concern, to make everyone who's using it aware, that you can't just take everything at face value. You have to do some follow-up too. So I just wanted to make you aware that that resource is out there. And the second article that I thought was pretty interesting was the last one, customizing this is Smithsonian space observation projects. And if you'll scroll down a little bit, there's, let's see where it is. Reaching for the stars for the Smithsonian. Well, we can go to the Micro Observatory Robotic Telescope. And you can explore, you can actually use the telescope if you, I think you search, scroll down. And there are 4 different levels. The first level is for everybody. So if you want to click there, and it shows you what you can do. You can control your own telescope using, and if you click on that, you actually get the telescope, and it shows you, select your target, and you can find the exposure time you want and so forth. So I don't know if you want to go that deep into it. But okay, if you go back, then you can see, keep going. Okay. And if you scroll down, I think it shows you some more options. NASA's Astro Photo Challenges, Transit of Mercury, all the different things that you can do on that at that level, and that's all free, and anybody can sign up for that. You don't have to log in or anything. And then if you back out of that, or go back, right? That's good. And look at Youth Astronet. Now this you have to actually. I just scroll down and show the. This, you actually have to sign up and become, this is a student portal, but you actually sign up and become a member. And again, there's no fee for it or anything, but you can do it at different levels, and you can do all kinds of exploration. They have lessons for classrooms. They have, anyone with an email address can request their very own images of the solar system. The Youth Astronet program provides, it's funded by the National Science Foundation. It promotes student science identity and STEM careers. Kids can become interested in those. They can take their own astronomical images using the remotely controlled robotic telescopes like we saw. You can process those images using a professional grade image processing tool to learn more about space. You can speak directly with a scientist. They have scientific mentors from the Center for Astrophysics. So it's just really a neat option that our kids who are interested in science have available. So I wanted to bring that resource to your attention. And then the research brief was mainly on micro-credentials, and the most interesting point that I thought they made was that the important thing about getting a micro-credential is that students should look at stacking opportunities so that they can take advantage of it in getting a degree, for example. So, any questions you have? Or? I just thought the AI and the space technology was just amazing. So.
Yeah, and that's really nice that, right before the solar eclipse.
Right, yeah.
Real cool.
Seemed timely.
I just heard I read an interesting article about space, and they are putting a message in a bottle and sending it to Pluto.
Oh my goodness.
So I don't know what's in the bottle, kind of the old message in the bottle they throw out to sea. They're casting the net out to Pluto now. And so maybe to let someone know there's life
So a
forms.
time capsule for the future. Okay, well, thank you for listening.
Under this section for board approval tonight is one item, and it is College Credit Plus Partnership Agreement with Kenyon College. Something we approve every year with all of our kind of neighboring colleges for College Credit Plus.
I would entertain a motion for the CCP with Kenyon College.
So moved.
Thank you, Ms. Regola-Dye. And a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Mr. Ward. Any questions? Hearing none, would you call the roll?
Ms. Regola Dye,
Yes.
Mr. Ward,
Yes.
Mr. Workman,
Yes.
Dr. Bennett,
Yes.
Mrs. Getzmann.
Yes. Thank you.
A special thanks to Kathy. Kathy runs all of the College Credit Plus processes, and so there's more than just two. She has quite a few that she works with, both online and in person, so thanks for her efforts there.
Fiscal Services.
Mrs. Kim. If you want to open the report, Bill, there's nothing specifically unusual this time. We just have your customary items. Your first item, of course, is your cash reconciliation. It shows our funds, what we have invested, what we have in the bank at National. And scroll on down. The next one is where we are compared to where we thought we would be. And if you look at that, those first two lines are not right only because when the tax advances come out, we post them all to the top line because we don't have the details yet. They just send us the money and we don't know. Some of it is general property, some of it is tangible, and then the fees have to come out. So we wait, we just put it in there so we know how much we got all together. They're going to do the settlement within the next few weeks. So at the end of March, when you see the April report, the report in April, you'll see the amount. So we didn't collect 5% more, and we haven't only
I
collected.
wondered about that. That was too good to be
So don't panic. I think we're going to be right about where we should be. So, and also the property tax allocation, that's the state share of the property tax that they pay, and that only comes later in the year too. So, on the revenue side, I think we're doing okay. If you do look down at the bottom there, again, we're looking at 66% for this time of the year. We've only spent 61% in our salaries, 65% in benefits, so that's good. We're a little bit over in the supplies and materials there. That's probably just finishing up some year-end things. But other than that, if you look at the bottom, the total expenditures for the 2 year-to-date were 63.7%. So again, I always like to look at this report. It gives me an idea if there's anything that we're way off on, high or low, and then we can sort of check into it, but that's good. Investment report, again, looking really good, $299,000 after only 7 months, so that's pretty good. And then the rest are the usual reports that you get that just shows all of our balances in every account. And then we have donations to the middle school from Ariel Foundation. It's funding to pay for transportation and historical sites entry for Washington, D.C. trip. To MBCS, the class of 1951 reunion is donating $341.61 to be used for unpaid student lunch charges. And then to all the elementaries, the New Life Church is donating school supplies, some pants, and some goodies for the students. And then item number 3, I think we reached out to you folks about the return of funds. This was a trip to Washington, D.C. that happened during COVID. Money was earned and deposited on behalf of each student. And when the money was canceled and when the money was offered to be given back, the district decided that we would take the money and hold it for those kids to go on the trip later. Well, they never did go. So since the money was earned and also paid by the parents, we did get approval from the auditor's office. In fact, the auditor issued an opinion during that time that said, because of cancellations, that the districts were allowed to return money. Ordinarily, you're not supposed to do that. Mm-hmm. Once they donate money or give money to the district, we have to spend it ourselves on the kids. But there was an actual auditor's opinion, which I found out through my fellow treasurers. You go on to those people and they know everything, and they pointed me to it. And so with that in mind, we're asking to be able to do this. It's going to take a little work, and my wonderful assistant Lynette is willing to do it. Reached out, I think, of the people that were on the list, there were only 3 or 4 that the students weren't still in the district. So otherwise we have email addresses. We're going to reach out to the parents. We're going to let them know what the amounts are, and we're going to give them the choice whether they want to leave the money in the fund for another class to take, or whether they want to have us issue a check, and we'll have to issue a purchase order, or a money order for it, because we don't want to set them all up as vendors, so we'll
Right.
get a money order. And the other option that Lynette came up with, which I thought was good, is if they have any outstanding fees, we can let them put those towards that too. She's always thinking about something.
That's a great idea.
Yeah.
Yes.
So she's gonna do all that, reach out to them, and then we'll compile it all, and I'll bring you a report at some other time.
Do you have an approximate number as to how many?
Yeah, there were, the total amount was about, I think, $3,000 or $4,000 total. Some people had as much as $500 or $600, some of them were $3, $5 or whatever. So those people, a lot of them may just go, never mind. But,
Right.
there were probably about maybe 20 people on the list. So it's gonna take a little bit of work, but she's already got the wheels going on that, so hopefully we can get that done shortly.
And I think,
Just felt like that was the right thing to do.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I agree.
I think it is fair to say that we looked at this before, and the kind of the legal opinion before was more safeguarded in the way that traditionally it's operated, and realizing that the auditor came out with a special exemption for that period of time. We did have to change the way in which we fundraise. The way in which we were doing it probably needed to adjust. We haven't fundraised since for this particular trip, but as we look at more fundraisers, we'll make sure that we do it where it's being donated for the entire trip and not towards an individual person.
And it's no problem that it's retroactive.
No, it's fine. And we put in the resolution that it's gonna be for the class that happened in 2020, so. Yeah, the auditor's opinion actually came out during that time.
Right, well, that's what I meant. I wondered if there was a limit, but you're saying.
No.
That's good.
There are.
Well, thank you for finding that out.
All right, I would entertain a motion for the fiscal services.
So moved.
Thank you, Ms. Regola-Dye.
I'll second.
Thank you, Mr. Workman. Any additional questions? Hearing none, would you call the roll?
Mr. Golodai,
Yes.
Mr. Workman,
Yes.
Mr. Ward,
Yes.
Dr. Bennett,
Yes.
Mrs. Getzmann.
Yes. Motion carried. On to business services, and Ms. Regola-Dye.
Thank you. You don't have to open any of those if you don't want to, it's fine. Just a real quick update, the General Assembly, I say, is in a conundrum regarding capital appropriations, because one group supports HB 2 and the other group supports HB 27, and unfortunately neither the Ohio House or Senate will have any sessions this month. Prior to the recess, two bills were introduced, HB 445 regarding district policies for religious instruction release time, and HB 447 regarding modification and expansion of property tax homestead exemptions and reduced districts 20 mil floor. And then just for your information, in the federal reports by our consortium of state school board associations, the National Education Policy Center explored the challenges and concerns of AI in the schools. And in the Senate, the Health, Education, Labor, and Pensions, Employment, and Workforce Safety Subcommittee will be discussing the role of apprenticeships in communities. And of interest to all school systems, the Labor, Health, and Human Services and Education Spending Plan for fiscal year 2024, which is half over by the end of the month, is proposing funding for the National Science Foundation with cuts of $479 million, which could impact STEM cuts in school systems and youth mentorship grants at the Justice Department. And we'll just have to wait and see what happens next. Any questions or, well, I know there's lots of concerns.
We don't have all night.
Can't resolve.
Yeah, right. Thank you.
Thank you.
We have a number of items for board approval tonight, all in the area of facility requests and one resolution. So you can see the requests there, large part energy field house, gymnasiums for practice kinds of things, all the way down to Boy Scouts. We do have a purchase service agreement. Mark Miller will be a system network administrator for us 2 days a week, and really to kind of replace some of the lost system network support we had a while back. And then finally, the approval of a resolution for Meta Solutions Cooperative. Sometimes we do this back earlier in the year, but we're getting 3 buses this year, and we're taking advantage of that Meta Cooperative purchasing. Buses, however, now have gone from 3 years ago, they were around $95,000. Now they're about $120,000 per bus. Why? I think because they can.
Like milk and bread and eggs.
I don't know that it costs that much more for a bus, but
All right, I would entertain a motion for facility use request and purchase service.
So moved.
Thank you. Any additional questions? Call the roll.
Mr. Ward?
Yes.
Dr. Bennett?
Yes.
Mr. Workman?
Yes.
Ms. Regola-Dye?
Yes.
Mrs. Getzmann?
Yes. Motion carried. Student services.
nothing at this time.
Okay. Moving on to personnel.
We have one item for information to share. 2 middle school teachers are going to continue to do a shared agreement. Both excellent teachers and have a unique way to be a family person and also keep your love of teaching going. So it's worked well in their case, and so they're asking for it for another year. The items for board approval tonight are a number of them. First, for this particular school year, we have the retirement. Tammy Henry is retiring from the middle school as a longtime science teacher, so we'll get a chance to wish her well, hopefully in May, when we have our final meeting of the school year. We do have a couple other resignations, one of which we mentioned at the outset, but we have an art teacher at Dan Emmett East who is resigning and moving closer to home, so you'll see that job posted. Jay Campbell is put his resignation in, so we'll be hunting for intervention specialists. And Brock Evans is stepping aside from wrestling, which just seems really odd. I don't know if someone in the back of the room can help work on that, but he's really, we'll see how Big John does there, but Brock has been a real asset to our community and the wrestling program as a whole. So I'm sure we've not heard the last from Brock. A couple substitute teachers there, supplementals. Believe it or not, we're already talking about summer school. And then Mary Jo Behrensmeyer is here again. You remember we brought Mary Jo back to kind of help us when we lost Latin, and she has done a wonderful job, as you can only imagine. We're now down to where we just have a 3rd year Latin. And so she's going to finish out this group, and then probably, Latin will probably forever be gone at the high school. But she's done a tremendous job there. And then we have one lay person. We hired a new head girls soccer coach, and that will be Travis Keller. So those items for your approval.
I would entertain a motion for the certificated personnel as presented.
So moved.
Thank you, Ms. Regola-Dye. And Dr. Bennett, second. Thank you. Any questions? I will say that, yes, there's some big shoes to fill with Ms. Henry and Mr. Evans, and we'll just rely on Mr. Fry. All right, no pressure. Would you call the roll?
Ms. Regola-Dye?
Yes.
Dr. Bennett?
Yes.
Mr. Ward?
Yes.
Mr. Workman?
Yes.
Mrs. Getzmann?
Yes. Motion carried. All right, moving on to classified staff.
No items for information, just a couple items for board approval tonight. The first is the hiring of Carson Mills. Carson is actually a recent graduate from the Career Center in their IT department. Fredericktown young fella, and been working in the business for a couple years, saw our position, and so we're excited to welcome Carson aboard. And we have 1 2-year contract sequence for John Haxton. So those 2 items for your approval tonight.
I would entertain a motion.
So moved.
Thank you.
I'll second.
Thank you, Mr. Ward and Mr. Workman. Any questions? Hearing none, will you call the roll?
Mr. Ward?
Yes.
Mr. Workman?
Yes.
Ms. Regola-Dye?
Yes.
Dr. Bennett?
Yes.
Mrs. Getzmann?
Yes. Motion carried. We will open the floor for board member comments. And Dr. Bennett, would you like to go first?
I'd just like to mention again about the new golf lab at the high school. That's just such an amazing facility, and I'm so grateful that we had that opportunity and that the More Living was willing to sponsor that and help us make that happen. I also had the opportunity last Tuesday to go to the FFA Awards program, and that was really neat. And those kids are amazing. There was so much support. There were so many awards. It went on for a long time. And one of my friend's daughters gave a speech, and I couldn't believe how much she had memorized. It was just, they all really excel. And I was going to say something about the academic showcase, but we've already talked about that, so I won't mention that. But I was just thinking about all the different activities that we offer our kids, the extracurriculars, and not only the academics, but above and beyond that, athletics and music and art and just so many different areas. And I thought of Kathy McFarland's speech. She did the presentation at the spring conference for OSBA, and she talked about how important it is to get kids connected, and that's one way we can keep kids in school, so that their attendance is good and their grades are good. And I thought we're doing a good job with that. We have lots of opportunities for our kids in all of these different areas. So regardless of what they're interested, they should be able to find something that they can get connected to and have a sense of belonging and a sense of achievement. And that's what we want. We want our kids to know how much they are worth and their value, and to feel like they can succeed in life. So I've just been feeling really good, and I'm so proud of our kids. They're just really excel when they have the opportunities.
Ms. Regola-Dye.
Thank you. Over the last month, every time I saw something on Facebook or in the news, it was surrounding our school system. There was always something happening that was so exciting, and such a sense of pride that I could sense in the children and the teachers and all of the staff. And I just continue to be amazed at everything that the children are accomplishing and the teachers. And it takes a lot of work, and the community is part of that. And we hope that they will continue to be supportive of everything that the school system is doing. And thanks to this board and our great leadership for making sure that our children are succeeding. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Ward?
Well, I too wanted to recognize the middle school this past week and what was going on there. Of course, my wife is there, so I have a bias. But I was really proud of what they pulled together and how they portrayed themselves and what a service it is to the community. So I wanted to thank Mr. Prince and the administration and the faculty there. Also, likewise, I wanted to say something about the FFA, the awards banquet, and what they did. You don't realize until you really focus in. There was about 180 kids that are in that program. I mean, that's 15%. If I'm doing the quick math, it's 15% of our high school is in the program. And
They all wore their blue jackets.
and it was something to see this. You just don't realize the time and the efforts, and not only from the kids, but from the advisors and the parents and everything that's going in behind all of this. And that is it's quite a service to Knox County, actually. And I was just really proud that our school system was giving them a mechanism to do this. It was really quite impressive. So I just wanted to say how much I appreciated that from their program.
Agriculture is still alive in the county.
Well,
Yeah, and it's a great
The
thing.
leadership opportunities that
absolutely.
they're having.
It's a great thing. Mr. Workman?
Well, I certainly echo a lot of things that were said, and I think we're at a very positive time right now, and congratulations to those students through winter activities, winter sports, all of those things that was addressed in the district update. Also wanted to mention, about a week and a half ago, got to attend a meet and greet with the new football coach, Mark Weber. He brought it in before the meeting. I don't think you were here yet, but he's got the helmets that they were going to wear, and he had one. It was at Masses. After he got done talking, I was ready to put the helmet on and go. I mean, he was.
He has energy.
Just the energy that he brought is something that I've not heard around maybe ever. I don't know. And he's really, and you know what? It's not only impacting the football, the boys are playing football, it's other sports. He's bringing all the sports in. And he was talking a little bit for a couple minutes before we started tonight, and they've got boards up and, goals and, but they're bringing in boys and girls sports, all of them. And it's the whole culture, and I think if one sport starts doing that, it brings all with them. But the excitement that he has now around the program and what he's doing is some good stuff. And it was exciting to hear. A lot more kids are coming out, and I think that's going to affect a lot of sports in general.
I'm sorry we missed that.
Yeah, very positive.
Yeah.
So.
And I will piggyback on that and just saying, as you're talking about, and we're talking high school kids here. I mean, we've all addressed issues at the high school, middle school level, but Mr. Weber is not only impacting the high school, middle school, he's impacting the elementary as well. He had the two different Sunday camps per se. He had 60 elementary kids the first week, and last week he had 75. I mean, so even the excitement with the littles is growing to be a yellow jacket. I mean, and that's infectious, and that just, as you said, it drives everything.
Well, and not to interrupt,
it sets a tone.
He spoke about that this is not the high school football program. It goes all the way down.
Yes.
And he clearly said this is not about him, it's about the kids. But he talked about taking it all the way down to the youth level. And that's what it is.
Yes.
It's an entire program. It's just not the high school.
Correct.
It's all the way up.
Right. And I think we see that with our wrestling, and I think Mr. Fry can attest to that too with the Little Stingers program.
Yeah.
I mean, the size that is, and it
That's where it's
continues
built.
to grow.
Yeah.
And when you can grow at an early level and give the kids a love for an activity, regardless of what it is. I mean, we have choir in the elementary schools. I mean, that just breeds success when you
Very,
start
very
them.
positive.
Yeah, absolutely. And I just, I also wanted to say that with the wrestling program, some of you may or may not know, but we extend an offer to Blake Elliott from East Knox and a couple of those students that come in and wrestle with our students, and our coaches represented them at the tournament. So the collaboration is not just within our building and our district. We are reaching out, and our coaches do not have to take on that extra responsibility, but they do it because they love the kids and they love the activities. And I know Mr. Fry last weekend took some students to a wrestling tournament. And again, that just shows the caliber of personnel that we have. They go above and beyond just their pay grade. And so it's greatly appreciated because you can feel the energy. I mean, you just, it's high and it's great. So it's great to be a jacket. That is all I have. Anybody else? Mr. Cedar? Mrs. Forney?
I think we're good to go.
Okay, then I would entertain a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Thank you, Ms. Regola-Dye.
I'll second.
Thank you, Mr. Workman.
Mr. Goladie?
Yes.
Mr. Workman?
Yes.
Mr. Ward? Dr. Bennett?
Yeah.
Mrs. Getzmann?
Yes.
Although it's been so exciting, I'm not sure.
I know. I need to talk some more, Jody.
Yeah.
That was really great.
Thank you all.
Okay, everybody stay safe for spring break.
Yes. Yeah, and Tim, have a good trip.
All the changes in there.
Have a great trip.
Anybody want any more viewers for your
Grandkids, you're welcome to take a couple there.
Yes, I would take an extra.
Thank you, Eric, Kathy, for
My daughter
coming.
said last night,
It really, the picture doesn't